All right. So, my girlfriend's epileptic, and she went into the birthing unit to give birth, and they gave her an epidural. And the one thing that never really expected, but I kind of knew was going to happen, I told them to get epinephrine, and they got the equivalent because she's on lamotrigine. And then once they did the epidural, her blood pressure dropped down to 30. And I informed them to give her the epinephrine, or the equivalent. I can't remember what they called it. And it brought her out of it. But she was so close to having her cardiac arrest, having her heart stop, without me there and without me knowing basic stuff, and without me being a psychic. Because I literally didn't know what drug to use. It was somebody else that did. But I told them to get it and to get a full dose. So they got a full dose before the epidural, and then she got the epidural and then seized. Well, didn't seize. Her heart rate dropped. She said she felt funny, and she really felt funny, and she's gonna black out, and she felt funny. And when I looked, her heart rate was down, and then when the nurse looked, it was down to 30. So I told them to give her the intravenous drug so that she'd come out of it, and she did. So luckily enough, we basically just missed losing her and the baby, which is absolutely mind-blowing, because, that would kind of rip a person apart. You get to see your spouse die while giving birth. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of give everybody an update that, well, obviously my abilities still work because I did that. And then I told one of the nurses not to worry about Kemper's breathing. And the nurse kind of looked at me and laughed. I was kind of asleep. I didn't really know until after I had gotten home and gotten some sleep. But the nurses cornered me a couple of times and asked me how I knew what was going on. And I couldn't explain it to them. I told them I had nothing to do with it. For some reason, I always deny the things that I do. They've never turned out bad, but I've always denied. Which is weird because, when there's good things, people, usually want to talk about it. Instead, I didn't realize exactly what had happened because, sleep deprived, and it seems like a dream, right? Like, I don't know, when you're overtired, everything seems like a dream. But yeah, and then he went to the intensive care because of his breathing, and the other nurse came back to me and said, "Oh, yeah, I guess you're right." I said, "Well, no, I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "You told me that he was going to go in for his breathing." And I said, "Well, maybe, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember it." But what a pain in the butt. I could have been like being famous here. I could have had a whole bunch of TV and everything else, but for some reason I denied it. That was all at the General Hospital too, actually, just in case people want to know which hospital it was at. It worked out really well that nothing bad ended up happening. And I just kind of wanted to give an update that I'm still doing that kind of stuff, and I still go out and help people when I can, but that was definitely a big show, like having 4 nurses come up to you and go, "How did you know? How did you know exactly when to give her the intravenous drug, and how did you know your son was going to go into intensive care?" I don't know. Other people know. I don't know. It's one of those things that kind of falls on your lap. You're kind of like, I don't know, it's like, well, that, in the operating room, it was kind of like, I guess you could say someone jumped into me, and it felt like being really excited that they could do something, um, which was really kind of cool because, that's an interesting feeling to have, especially when it's not your own excitement. But, yeah, some people will call the video nuts. I would call myself nuts, except I've got judges and lawyers and now hospital staff and firemen and ambulances and yeah, there's so many different little things that I do, and I still haven't figured out how to put it to use because I seem kind of weird whenever these things happen. Or at least I think I'm weird, one of the two. I don't know, other people might think I seem more than normal, but I'm definitely not normal, so I try to deny it all the time, which is really stupid. But I I probably should go back and explain myself a little bit because I kind of put the nurses on edge by saying, it wasn't me, it was all on her. I know it was a good thing and everything, but I had nothing to do with it. And then the nurses are like, there's two of us. We both seen you say, get this. We both seen you say, put this and do it right now. And then the other nurse saying, like, I know 100%. I talked to you and you told me about the ICU. But I didn't remember. At the time, I didn't remember. A day later, or a couple of days later, and I didn't remember. But I guess it's all good because the baby lived, she lived, and everybody's home now. So it's a nice, happy family. But I don't know. It brought my numbers up though. From the last time that I had a major, whatever, cop encounter, I guess you could say, because they thought that I was, because I'm always around and I always know things and there's always weird shit and I'm always trying to figure shit out. So they were starting to think like, hey, are you behind some of this stuff? And I was like, no. And they're like, we think you're behind this. And I said, no, I'm not behind this at all. I know exactly what it was. And helped put a couple of people away. But, and get a lot of information actually on different organizations and stuff. But I'm still trying to figure out how to use it appropriately where it's useful. Because it's not like I just control it, right? Like, I don't decide, okay, now I'm going to freak out. Now I'm going to know exactly what happens next. It doesn't work like that. It's kind of like, it just shows up. So I seem like a fucking weirdo. But, like when I have some videos, I don't know if I put them on YouTube or not, but I have videos of the kids freaking out because I rub a door and then I push it and the lock falls off the other side. I did that 3 or 4 times. Just kind of to show off to the kids. I even brought the kids up to see me do it, like the bathroom door when we're horsing around. But there's so many of these little things and so many things that I could be doing, and I don't know where to go. Like, should I go with the cops? Because I've been paid by the cops before to do psychic stuff. When the guy got killed at the Cabaret Canada on his motorcycle, light blue motorcycle, I had told them about that beforehand. The coronavirus, I had told them 4 years prior. That's why our CDC labs had sent those test vials to Wuhan. So I guess I'm kind of at fault somehow on that. But there's a whole bunch of things that I've been doing. Like, I knew about the all this Trump stuff. Like I spoke about it. I spoke actually once to Doug Ford, because I knew about him overturning the ruling in court. So I actually got to speak to him. The cops called him at home at 2 in the morning so that I could talk to him, because they didn't quite understand, but they started to believe, because there's a stabbing a long time ago, and when I was living out in Cummings, and I called the cops and I said, I don't know how to explain this to you, but there's going to be a stabbing at this bar. It's not that far from here, and I know it's going to happen on Friday. And so they thought at first I was connected, like I knew the guy that was going to do it or whatever. And then they found out it was a random robbery. They caught the guy because they had cops nearby, because I told them what day it would be on, roughly around what time. So within an hour and a half of the time I gave them, the stabbing happened and the guy was arrested. And normally they wouldn't have caught the guy. They did do a second interview at that point, because they didn't know how I knew what I knew. So they sent a bunch of guys, and they didn't believe me on anything, but it didn't matter because I didn't care. And I literally told them that. I said, hey, if you're going to wait, that's kind of on you. I said, because it's not the last thing I'm going to do. But, yeah, so my new numbers is 3, because it was the baby. It was Tabitha. And they both kind of went together, so I don't know if it's a 1 or 2 thing. You know, it's kind of one person, but there's 2 souls. So, is it 2 people? I think so, because he's just about to be born. So technically he would have been a person, right? I don't know, it's a tough one. So, only 3 so far, which really sucks, because my first set of numbers when I was a kid, from like, we'll say 10 to 17, was 16. And then from 16 or 17 until 20, it was, oh wait, no, nope, because I start counting every time. So that would have been 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, I was up to 28. And then I had that police encounter. Because every time I have a police encounter, I restart my numbers, so that I kind of have an idea, because I forget about times. So, in 5 years, 3 people. That's pretty good. That's like not quite 50-50, right? I was supposed to quit smoking so that I could live longer. But I quit for a little while. And then a bunch of stuff went awry. And I get abnormally stressed out, because I can't afford to be on what I would consider medication. Even though if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have been able to help Tabitha, because it's a jumble, right? When I haven't medicated myself, it's like a million voices talking at the same time, like a million people just chatting. It'll drive you freaking batty. Even when you're trying to sleep, people will wake you up. That's why I was able to tell the nurse that my kid would be going to ICU the next day. Or intensive care, sorry. So, if I hadn't medicated myself, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. And then I wouldn't be here talking about how I have my girlfriend and my son at the house. I would have lost them both. Or at least one. because they can't defibrillate someone if there's a baby inside of them, because you could stop the baby. So it would depend on if his heart stopped, and then if his heart stopped, they still can't defibrillate. They have to pull him out in order to do that. So it would have been very, very complicated, and I would have ended up losing the girlfriend or the baby, right? That would have been a choice that I would have to live with for the rest of my life. So I'm glad that it didn't come to that. But anyways, I've got up to a 15-minute video. Anybody who has an idea on what I should do, because I'm not working, because I'm a weirdo. That's all I can say. Like, I'm really good at anything I do. Anything to do with my hands. You want me to do body work, you want me to do mechanics, you want me to build a house, you want me to do electrical work, you want me to install security locks for the cops, the fire department, the doors for the cops, the fire department. You know, I've done it all when it comes to that stuff. And I'm really good at it. But what should I do next? Because what I want to do is I want to help people, because I don't want to be weird just to fix a door. I don't want to be weird just to fix a car. I don't want to be weird to, do something mundane. If I'm going to be a weirdo, then I would like to be doing something that saves lives. And then when I'm being a weirdo, I can save a life. It seems like the best bet for me. So, should it be police? Fire department? I really wanted to do the fire department. Really, really, really. And I've done a few things for them in the past. Like on the psychic level, which was kind of cool. Kind of blew their mind that I would know the things that I knew. So, I've done psychic stuff for the Ottawa Carleton Police, the OPP. I was supposed to work for the RCMP. I turned them down because I'm a stupid idiot. I would really like to work for the RCMP. Or should I go and work at a hospital? But at a hospital, it's a little bit different because I won't fit in. I'm not going to have the medical knowledge and stuff like that. It's really hard to understand people when they tell you a name of something and you have no idea what it is. But that's where I'm standing. So anybody who watches this video, put a comment. Should I work for the cops who I've worked for doing psychic stuff in the past? Should I work for the fire department, which I've done psychic stuff in the past? Should I work for a hospital? Because there's a few times I've done psychic stuff for them too. They don't realize it, or I don't know it, or I can't explain it. I don't know. It goes back and forth. Missing persons. I've helped find missing people, which is really nice. Rideau Carleton Raceway, I used to call the races beforehand. They announced it a couple times over the whole network, which goes to 7 countries or something like that. And it's broadcast around the world. What should I do? I have this weird gift and I want to use it, because if I don't use it, then I just seem like a weirdo and I can't really hold a job anyways. But if the job has to do with me being weirdo and being able to do these things, then is it worth it? Probably. So, I don't know. Who should I work for? The OPP, the Ottawa Carleton, I guess because the General Hospital now knows of me, so because of this few incidents. So I guess General Hospital or the fire department, and I want to work, if I'm going to be working for them, I want to work for the one, well, I want to work for the one that's close, but I know that they don't have the type of emergencies that I would be really good at. The best would be as if it was near highways, where there's like 400 highway, series highway, because I know from Ottawa to Kingston, if I was working on that, I would be able to do some amazing stuff, man. There's been a few times they've asked for knives and lights and stuff, and I've tried to turn around, but I just haven't been able to make it for them. But they know of me, so that's kind of cool. So, who should I work for? Even the judge in Renfrew, Judge Selkirk, he knows of me too. He's very surprised, pleasantly surprised. He knows about the stuff I did at the Rito Carlton Raceway Casino, which is now the Hard Rock. Just as they were turning it over to Hard Rock, I did a bunch of stuff there by calling the races and helping out with the Randy Rankin murder. So, what do I do now? Because I've helped with trying to stop child rings for, you know what I mean, sex rings. I've tried to stop a bunch of bikers, or have stopped a bunch of bikers. And I routinely go out and try, like, I don't have a fire extinguisher anymore because I bought one for the truck and then I used it at a car fire, like a car accident, and there's a fire and I used the whole thing, and I can't remember, I threw it in a snowbank or something because I needed it to get the people, and then I couldn't find it, so that kind of screwed that idea. So now I don't have a fire extinguisher. I need to get a new one. I do get road safety stuff from some truck companies, which is nice. Like, I've got a bunch of triangles. I don't know. I randomly help people all the time with things. Little things, usually. Like retired people with flat tires, or broken down cars, or people getting assaulted, like people robbing people with knives and stuff. But I haven't done it for the cops, and I haven't done the other work for the fire department, like the Winchester fire, when they were all at the Legion, and I put out a forest fire with my shirt because there was no fire, no fire truck. And then by the time I got to the fire station to try and get a hold of them, which is an OPP station too, I found out they were all at the Legion in Chesterville. And between Winchester and Chesterville was the fire. So I put that out. Then I had to go and get the fire department to come and check it because I didn't want it to burst in flames again. It was a pretty big field. Like field and forest part. Yeah, anyways, if anybody gets the idea, you know what I'm trying to say. Maybe you made it through the video, maybe you didn't. If you did, leave a comment on where I should go. Ottawa Carlton, OPP, General Hospital, or Fire Station 33. And I guess 33 would just be a starting because they're kind of the closest to me. But, you know, you got to start somewhere. So, anyways, leave a comment. Which place should I go? What should I do? Because I'm totally in awe here. nobody else can explain the things I do. Been doing them for a long time. Now they've realized, and I've been documented by the police, OPP, Ottawa Carleton, and 5 days ago, I was documented by the General Hospital. So, anyways, yeah, if you guys could figure it out, send me a bunch of comments. I will pick one, and I will comment back on you or message you or something and tell you that your idea was great. Anyways, thanks for watching.